Well, one game that I did a tweet about, and again, it's more of a let's get hype tweet, a celebratory. Hey, I can't wait to play this. I played it. I got hands on. I got hands on not only at the Microsoft experience, but I also got hands on right here in at home on my big screen because I have the game downloaded. And it's not the review copy. It is literally what I played at the Microsoft experience because I'm on the insider program for reviews now, thanks to Microsoft. Shout out to you, Jeff Rubenstein, for hooking a brother up. I get them sent directly to my console. No more codes. I literally go to my console. I check, boom, there's a game. I download it. I'm ready to rock and roll. And I've been playing South of Midnight here. Now, again, it's the same South of Midnight level 3 demo that I played at the Microsoft experience, but I got a chance to record my own footage, which is pretty dope. So I wrote a tweet, Fuzzy and Crispy, and it says basically super simple. Hey, Xbox Nation, we're only 18 days away from early access for Compulsion Games' incredible South of Midnight. I can't freaking wait. And Double Barrel Gaming is going to be reviewing it. I think I might have mentioned that already, but if you didn't know, we are going to be reviewing the game. And the first response, of course, is from one of the community's absolutely best, Okami13_. And of course, he said he'll be playing it. He's very excited for it. And a lot of people responded in kindly. And of course, thanks to people exposing themselves to me, I blocked 7 people this morning, which is great. And I'll say this right now, folks. Pardon the language. If you are an effing asshole, please say something stupid to me on Twitter, because what you do is I'm heavy with the block hand. If you're going to come into my thread that's positive and you're going to try and be negative, you're automatically blocked. I don't care who you are, guy, girl, whatever. You're gone, because I don't need that in my life. I'm going to be 55 years old, folks. I'm getting too old for this shit. So if you do come at me negatively with your DEI nonsense, which there's nothing of that here. That, of course, that was the reigning thing, gentlemen. Oh, DEI has ruined this game. How? I'm telling you, it's not there. I played the game. I played it extensively, and it's a female lead. She is African American. She is from the South. That's all. The DEI stuff, folks, is about the lore, about the deep South lore that a lot of us don't know about, and will learn as we're playing this game. Play this game for what it is. It's a 12 to 14 hour experience. That is for your average playthrough. I'm not your average gamer. I'm probably going to put 30, 40, maybe even 50 hours into this game because I'm going to want to find everything, because that's just what I do. But, Crispy Bomb, this game is coming out. It's landing in Xbox Game Pass day and date. There is a $10 upgrade where you can get a early access. I think it's either 3 or 5 days. I'll get the particulars in a second. I'll bring it up. This game on your screen that you're watching right now is for me exactly what I've been asking for. And I think a lot of Sony fans, this is the type of game that you expect from Sony. Well, we're starting to get these games from Microsoft. We're starting to get these games from Xbox Game Studios. And I got to tell you, again, you're seeing it on your screen for yourself, folks. This does not do the game justice. It is an amazing experience. It has heartfelt storytelling. And again, if you don't like the stutter-esque graphics, which of course is very similar to Coraline, which is one of my favorite films, I'm going to play with it on. You can shut it off where it's just standard, over-the-shoulder, story-driven, graphic-intense game that you would find on PlayStation. If that's what you want and you don't want the stop-motion artwork, you can shut that off, FYI. I want to get your thoughts on this. Again, this is just the opening salvo for today's show, but South of Midnight, Crispy, has the potential to not only win a bunch of awards just based on the way it looks. It is a stunning game, but I want to promise everybody that beyond the graphics that you see, there is so much here to enjoy. The combat feels satisfying. It does have an RPG-esque element where you're constantly leveling up your abilities. And On top of that, and I think, like I said, this is what gets lost in just watching the screen because there's no context with voice. The story is astoundingly good. And I've only gotten, again, the demo starts on the 3rd chapter for a reason. And during that 3rd chapter, the story specifically, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you folks. I'm not going to let any cats out of any bags. Look, I don't cry at a lot of video games, but there's a particular situation that you're dealing with two brothers, and it just hit me. Like, it hit hard for a lot of personal reasons. And I was freaking emotional. I'm not even going to lie to you. Crispy, I want to get your thoughts, your theories, and your excitement for South of Midnight releasing in just a pinch over 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll be honest. I've spent enough money. I'm not going to pay that $10. I'm just going to be honest right off rip.
Okay, that's
I want
fair.
to experience the game. Okay, I don't need early access. I got early access in Avowed. I bought the collector's edition of Doom: The Dark Ages. These are my type of jams. I mean, Avowed, RPG. Okay, like if anybody wants to see an RPG, here you go. Like, you create your character, you do all these things. That's an RPG. South of Midnight is telling a story, and the story is important because, me and Boom, we live in the North, you know what I mean? Northeast. All right. Like, we don't understand the lore involved, but I've heard of these terms. I actually, at 12 years old, went on vacation to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And the first thing I was called by somebody that lived there was, "Oh, you're a Yankee." And I kind of laughed. And, at 12 years old, I just said, okay, like, like, I'm not one of those people that's like, hey, you have a different, thought process or anything else. I just sat there and listened. And I think that's what this game is good for. Sit there and listen. Listen to what they're saying. I don't care if she's black. I don't give a crap. Okay? I don't care if it's she. Like, I don't understand the DEI BS. Like, let's be honest here. Okay? We all live in this country. All right? And everybody has different thought processes. And we need to understand that my thought process in the North is not the same in the South.
Indeed.
And God forbid a Canadian developer makes a South of Midnight, which, like what she said, trifling ass mudcat. Excuse my language. But I was like, man, I've fed in South Carolina those damn catfish. And I'm going to tell you right now, they will eat each other alive for that food. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was kind of wild to watch as a kid. And that's where I say, like, I understand that. See, that's where you cross bridges and you break them down and you say, let's rebuild it the way it should be. And I really think they're trying to tell a story. And I think it's important because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of games that are talked about in the South of the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's so much going on more than what I have here. There's tornadoes, there's hurricanes, there's just, wild and crazy environments that you've never experienced. And I went down to Florida. It wasn't the same as what I'm seeing, but you go to Louisiana, guess what? Different experience. Okay? That's the beauty of our country. And I think they're completely showing that in what they do. And I think it's acceptable to be logical and be like, I haven't experienced that. I don't understand where they're at, but let me try to understand. And it's not something that's DEI. I hate that. Like, especially now.
Yep.
especially with what we're seeing. Like it doesn't make sense. Like especially for this game in general. Like I don't see it. Okay, like I'm playing as a female that happens to be black. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Who the hell cares? Like it looks like an experience that I've never felt before. And then the music, by all
Oh,
means,
yeah,
like
dude.
like it's Irish. Like listen to Irish music for a second. Like like same type of thing. Like glorious. Like gives you a story without saying words. And I feel like they're on the cusp of something amazing that will change people's perspective on what is DEI or what's not, because this is not that. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's great points of view, and that's the other thing. I'm glad you made mention of it because I completely forgot to even mention that. Like, I'm so enthralled with what I played, with the story. Again, for me, it hit personally, folks. Like, it hit like super heavy. But the music, the sound is so authentic. Like, it's again. Is it going to be your game of the year? I have no idea. Are you going to want to play through it? Maybe, maybe you don't. I couldn't tell you. I can say that there is a lot to get excited about. There is a massive story here, and there is a lot to uncover. Again, 12 to 14 hours is what they're saying the average playthrough is. I'm not your average type of gamer. That's just me. I do spend a significant amount of time playing these games and looking at because there's a lot of secrets to find in these games. In the South of Midnight. As you can see, how I'm playing the game, I'm usually because there's a way for you to show where the path you're supposed to go. As you saw me do many times before, I go in the opposite direction because there are secrets to be had. There are different books to find. There's lore to find. And it's, again, this is one of those games. And I said this about Avowed, Fuzzy Belvedere. The more that you, as the player, invest and put into this game, the more you will receive in return. What does that actually mean? Well, if you are someone that is just looking to button mash, then maybe this game isn't for you. I don't know what to tell you. But there's stories here. And I say stories because each chapter is telling a different story. There are boss battles, and some of them are huge. You got a chance to see. And no NDA is broken here. You saw her fighting Two-Toed Tom, which is that big alligator. I didn't meet him in this demo. That's what they put out there on the internet. And that boss fight looked freaking amazing. And that's just one of many that you're going to have. And again, there's powers to find. The more you look at every nook and cranny, the more chances that by game's end, you will have unlocked literally every power. And it's just, again, just keep watching the screen, folks. It's an astounding game. I'm very much looking forward to it. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's bring you in and get your thoughts on some of the backlash that this game has had, which I think is undeserving, in my opinion, based on the fact that people, and we're talking about a very small-minded subsection of humans that are the bottom of the barrel when it comes to anyone you want to spend time with. Because if you are immediately running with, hey, boom, it's got D, I don't like it. You know what? Please just reach out to me on Twitter. Let me know who you are so I can block you. Because this game in front of you has none of that. It has authenticity, which you hear in the way people speak, the way it's written, the lore that you read about, how it's explained to you. Everything is authentic. Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on the fact, and again, you heard me, I don't know, I thought I muted the mic. It was a hot mic situation where I asked Google how many days it was. It's officially 17 days to early access. Early access is on April 3rd. Full-on access is 5 days. That it releases officially on the 8th of April. So again, if you want to spend $10, awesome. If you don't, like Fuzzy, that's fine. It's awesome too. I'm going to be playing it early, probably a little bit earlier than that, hopefully a little bit earlier than that, so I can review it properly. But let's get your thoughts on this, man, because this game, this is what we Xbox fans have been waiting for. You know, we keep talking about the hashtag just one, and that's obviously been made famous by Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords podcast. This is one of those games, man. I'm telling you, this game has everything we could want and then some. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I'm not going to really touch on the DEI stuff, only because to me, it always feels disingenuous as far as the people that are shouting the loudest about it. They say they want to see a variety of games that are authentic, and then when stuff like that happens, it's like, well, it's still DEI, so what changed, or what was the commotion about before? But for me, I've always wanted to see a different variety of stories, a different variety of main characters. Like, we don't always have to have the same type or build or same demographic as far as the main character. I just look at it as, hey, this is a story that hopefully will grab my attention enough for me to continue playing through. And everything that I've seen as far as some of the Southern lore, as far as the haints and things like that, is interesting to me. The folk tales and things along those lines, everything from like things here in the North, like the Jersey Devil and their equivalents for the things in the South. I definitely want to dive into that story. So for me, the interest has always been high. And I remember as far back as when Phil said, like, one of the main reasons why he picked up this studio was, what he was anticipating from this title. He got to see the peek behind the curtains before, writing the check type of deal. And if this was able to catch his attention, it's probably worthy of at least giving a try for those that might be on the fence and things along those lines. But for me, the thing that was the breakout was seeing the gameplay as far as the traversal. Like, that's the biggest thing. It looks, and I can't say feels, but it looks like it would be fluid as far as the movement. Not something that you're going to have to necessarily learn how to, like, move a certain way. Like in Sunset Overdrive, it took a couple of attempts at making sure I could grind and traverse without losing some of that momentum or energy and stuff. So this doesn't seem like it is as punishing in that regard, but I do like the fact of how the boss battles are kind of like sectioned off, as opposed to, well, open world, you could probably run away if you really wanted to, but if you can't get to the next stage without passing through that boss, then that wouldn't really make much sense. Like kind of like the way the Elden Ring does it, where you can adjust how your path is and figure out which boss you want to take on at what time, depending on the path you take. But with this being more of a story, I'm fine with the way this is set up with the boss battles, which look to be the most interesting, because it doesn't seem like Boom said earlier, you can't button mash. Like, it looks like you're going to have to not necessarily do the same thing you would do in a Souls-like, where you're having to time all of the enemy movements, but it does look like you will have to pay attention to some of their hints as far as when they're getting ready to lash out, or non-blockable attacks and things like that. And then it looks like some of the, I guess, unlocks that you can do will help restore some of your health as you kill some of the enemies and things along those lines. So definitely looking forward to the combat, looking forward to the exploration, even though it doesn't seem like it's open world, but overall, just being able to, like, traverse through, like, jumping from either branch to branch or gliding over the rivers and traversing through different houses or buildings or platforms and things like that. I'm really looking forward to it. But the stop motion, I'll definitely give it a try. If it winds up giving me like an eye ache or something, it's good that they have it where you can turn it off. But I'll probably stick with it, just like, because I like that almost like claymation and stop motion look that they have.
Yeah,
like from when they first showed the I can't remember the guy's name, but it's almost like the Devil's Crossing kind of for the jazz guy that is telling her the story about the big catfish and stuff like that. So I want to see how that plays into the overall story and stuff. And considering it without me knowing exactly, but it feels like this seems like a story that may have been expanded upon from Katrina, because I'm hearing, I guess there is some sort of weather event and stuff like that. So it has some grounded stuff that I want to see how they approach it, and considering that catastrophe that we all kind of witnessed, where 24-hour news was front and center for stuff like that at that time. I want to see how they handle the delicate aspects of this story and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. I'll more than likely be doing the early access, because I've been doing that with a lot of the games in Game Pass, either buying them outright or doing just the upgrade for the early access and stuff, just to, and it's not as much about the FOMO. It's like, I'd just rather hurry up and get into this game, get as much time in, and then knowing later that month we got Expedition 33 as well. So I want to make sure I get as far as I can before that game releases later on that same month. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Been having my eye on it ever since Compulsion's been acquired, and I'm glad to see it's not too far away. Can't wait to play it.